George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're here, you're only here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast brought to you by ComicBook Clique. And today, we're going to tear into a movie that seems to be making headlines all over the world. And that means a little trip right back to Wakanda. And I cannot go to Wakanda alone. They kind of know my name over there. Here with me today, sir, introduce yourself.
I am Cloudus Maximus, and we here, man.
Yeah, we're here to talk all things Black Panther, all things Wakanda. Man, off the top, how do you feel about that movie?
To put it plainly, I am pleased.
I feel you.
I'm pleased.
This movie had a ton of promotion. I just want to jump right into it. As you know, this will be completely spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen the film and you're listening to
get out now.
I'm gonna tell you to go see it. That would be my recommendation.
Go see the movie. If you get out, go see the movie. Go.
Yeah, if you've been listening to this point and you were like, man, I thought they were gonna do like a spoiler free. I just want to know if I should see it. Go see it.
Nope, go see it.
That's the spoiler free review. Go see it. Great movie. Now, spoiler filled. We are gonna get all into the nitty and gritty. But before we talk about what this movie actually was, I wanted to talk about all the promotional stuff that they were doing for this. You know, this comes right off the heels of Civil War. We had T'Challa.
Yeah.
We had T'Challa in Civil War, so we actually kind of got a little bit of a backstory in there. Do you remember how much they spoke about with the Black Panther in there?
No, but they mentioned that it was like, I think he mentioned it was like 2 weeks after the Civil War.
Right, but I'm talking about when we have him in Civil War, what do we know about Black Panther? We don't really know much about him. We know he's from Wakanda.
We know he's from Wakanda. His dad dies. So
his dad dies.
So T'Challa becomes Black Panther.
Right. I believe he explains to Romanoff, right, the Black Panther mantle is one that is passed, and you kind of get a little bit of the information there, where you get to see that he's bulletproof, so his suit is made out of some sort of dense metal, and you also know that he is. They mentioned that his father mentions vibranium, so you know that there's vibranium in Wakanda. So we have like kind of a thin layer of T'Challa in Civil War. I think the biggest thing we get is his ability to realize that he was in the wrong, thinking that Bucky killed his father. Is probably the biggest moment he has in that film, right? Where he has an opportunity to actually get vengeance on the man who did kill his father, Zemo.
Move, Captain.
Yeah, he actually can kill Zemo, and he doesn't. He chooses not to, and chooses to have him be arrested for his crimes. And this film almost picks up right where that was left off. But were you nervous at all going into this film? Did you know for a fact it was going to be amazing? Did any of the casting news excite you or make you nervous?
No. I was excited that Claw was gonna be back.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I really liked him because I seen the hand in the trailer, so I was like, I was intrigued very much.
That first trailer with the Run the Jewels song, Legend Has It, is amazing. That's the one where he first does the kinetic energy bounce off the car and does the flip, and it's like in slow motion. Yeah. Oh, so good. Step into that spotlight. That's basically what that song keeps saying, and that's our introduction to the movie T'Challa was that first trailer. And you see that, and it off the back looks like something we haven't dealt with before, right?
Yeah.
We've been dealing with kids. We dealt with soldiers. We dealt with capitalists, and now a king, royalty. So this was definitely going to be something different. And our first look at Wakanda, which for years in the comic books has been this technologically advanced part of Africa, and you've only ever really seen it in comics and in maybe an animated series, very little. But Black Panther is a character that probably should have been getting more credit, but kind of wasn't at the time. I mean, you think about it, his first movie comes out about 50 years after he's been created. It's a long time.
Yeah, that is a long time.
And obviously when they thought of the movies that they wanted off the rip, he kind of wasn't there. He's like number 18, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm glad they got to him in general, but what I mean to say
was
is
on
that
the map. Wakanda was on the map.
There was definitely plans to go to Wakanda. I guess what I'm just trying to say is that his profile wasn't high when this film came out. It was probably raised with Civil War, but if I asked a random person on the street a year ago,
everybody that's seen him wanted to know what all the hullabaloo was when
Oh
I
yeah,
saw
I mean he
it.
just looked cool,
So
right?
yeah,
And the way he spoke
so that was
and
great.
everything. But I think you asked people 2 years ago who's Black Panther. What's Black Panther's real name? You know, the T'Challa stuff,
Mhm.
or how do you spell Wakanda? I think you ask people now how to spell Wakanda. It's kind of an issue, but definitely not a high profile character. And you know, we we get all of T'Challa in this film. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll do a full recap. I'll just stop whenever you feel like you need to stop me, and whenever I feel like I need to stop myself, I'll just sit and just gush over the greatness of this movie. So let's start off right off the top of the film. We start with a history lesson. And we find out about the 5 African tribes of Wakanda,
The
who are,
asteroid.
the meteorite that of vibranium that lands in Wakanda, and how it is able to basically flourish this nation. It's one of those things, we say all the time that Superman landed in Kansas, and the Red Sun comic plays around with whether or not, like, what would happen if Superman was uh, if he landed in Russia. Wakanda sits in this place of, you know, we have all the things and we're technologically advanced, but it was by chance.
Yeah.
That meter just fell there. Like it could have fallen anywhere. But we find out that that's the birth of the Black Panther trials. The heart-shaped herb. They do a lot of world building right there.
Yeah.
You find out about the Jabari and how they left. They were the one group that was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the mountains. This is all this other stuff is
We out.
out of
We're
control."
not with it. Yeah. What is this?
You got the River Tribe, you got the Merchant Tribe, you got the Border Tribe. They did a lot to explain in very short time with those graphics what Wakanda was about and what like I said, 100% a history lesson. How do you feel that went down? I mean, I know this is very
I
similar to
love.
how it went with
I,
Wonder Woman. Remember, they like opened the
yeah.
book and they talk about Zeus
I
and
love
stuff.
Marvel and their history lessons. I loved when they did it in Guardians when they told us about the Infinity Stones. So
Right,
I was just there because I saw an asteroid open up. I was like, ooh, vibranium. What's
right,
it
right.
affecting? The ground.
Yeah, and you see
Wakanda.
it.
Yeah, yeah. They show you.
I love the way they use the blues and the purples in this
Yeah.
movie to show like the effects that this vibranium really had on the soil, on Wakanda in general for just landing there. And the cool thing about this also was that just like in Wonder Woman, this is a story being told from T'Chaka to T'Challa.
Mhm.
This is, hey Papa, can let me know the story of Wakanda. Tell me the story of Wakanda. And it ends with him saying, we still hide. It ends. The whole thing ends with basically saying that over time that Wakandans just use the vibranium to develop themselves, but then in developing themselves, they isolated themselves. And one thing I saw, I saw this movie twice. Something I didn't catch on the first time. I caught the first time I saw it that they showed that a lot of stuff went on in the world,
Mhm.
while they were in isolation. But one thing that they linger on a little bit that I didn't catch, and I'm probably dumb for not catching, is that obviously the slave trade went on.
Right.
And not only did the slave trade go on, it went on in Africa. And
Mhm.
not only did it go on in Africa, but Wakanda kind of just
Miss.
turned
Miss. Yeah.
turned a blind eye to it. They weren't enslaving Wakandans. And so Wakanda kind of just turns and like, I don't see anything. I
Yeah.
don't see anything going on here. And I think that's big, especially if you are a African American watching this film and you feel that slighted in any way or
They kind of
disenfranchised.
showed that in that history lesson that they
Yeah, they
gave us.
showed they show them leading them to the slave ships and stuff and in chains, but the way that the father plays it off, he's like, "Oh yeah, and things happened around the
Yeah.
world."
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's in your backyard.
Yeah.
That's not around the world. But it's the same way that, God forbid, somebody gets mugged on the corner. That's my backyard, right? Should I, if I have the ability and power to stop that? And that's what a lot of this movie is about. It's about responsibility and identity. Like, what should you do if you have the powers, if you have the means? What should you do? And right now, in the beginning, we just get the world building of why really Wakanda is isolated, and that's to protect it, which is makes sense.
Right.
People things when a country is found to have raw resources, terrible things
But
happen.
nobody knows that. I mean, everybody knows about T'Challa and stuff like that. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
but they don't
Because
know.
when he goes up to meet councils and stuff like that,
Yeah, Civil
they
War,
yeah
yes.
they tell him like you got villages and stuff like that.
And
So he's like, what are you
he's
talking about?
respected. I mean, T'Chaka talks in front of the
Mhm.
United Nations, So these people are respected, even though that they think they come from like a third world country, like a farming country. They still manage to respect them, even in that sense. But after that, I swore we'd go to Wakanda, but instead we go to 1992 and we go to Oakland.
Oakland.
When this happened, I remember looking at you and going like, "What? Like what? What could we? What story of T'Challa's do we have to tell in
Hmm.
Oakland?" This was real big for me, and basically we find Jobu. I want to say off the top, if I'm mispronouncing any of these names, it's not my fault. I'm trying my very hardest, but Jobu, who is the brother of T'Chaka, is seen like setting up for a heist or something of some sorts, and he basically is ascended upon about by the Black Panther. Kids see the ship in the sky, and T'Chaka shows up and is basically like, Ulysses Claw found out about the vibranium, came by and blew up bombs on the border, and many people were killed, and our rare metal was stolen. Uh, do you know anything about it? And he swears off of it. He swears off of it, and then we're shown that T'Chaka had placed a spy, a Wakandan spy named Zuri, to be there to, you know, get the nitty gritty on what Jobu was really doing there. And there's a moment in which Jobu, uh, passionately states, like, you don't understand what's going on here. Like, we're getting incarcerated all the times. If Wakanda was able to give the people the strength to fight back, we
Hmm.
wouldn't be in this position. And T'Chaka won't hear anything of it because for years there is no talk of Wakanda
Wakanda,
helping.
yeah.
Don't even talk about that because
What
that's
is
not.
that?
Yeah, that's not
What
what we
is that?
do. And this is not. And to tell you the truth, I'm not here for that. I'm here for what you did.
Hmm.
Now, if you want to talk about the world events, we can talk about the world events. But right now, I'm talking about what you did to Wakanda. You betrayed Wakanda. How did you feel about the identification system of Wakandans being born with some sort of
On their lip.
glow in the dark
Yeah, that's cool.
writing on the lip?
That's how we tell. That's how we tell.
I thought that was a pretty good way and a pretty quick way because people do it throughout this film. Show that they are Wakandan just by showing their inside of their bottom lip, and it was a very quick way to get it done. I mean, when you needed to have those reveals, no words. Oh wow, oh yeah, he's from Wakanda.
You're from Wakanda.
Yeah, he is from Wakanda. Before we find out what happens between T'Chaka and Jobu, it kind of cuts away. You just see that T'Chaka left.
Hmm.
He says you will come back to Wakanda for your crimes, and you will answer for them.
Hmm.
And it's kind of just left that way. And I was a little curious. I was like, oh, so he got arrested,
Right.
and I thought that we're being left at that. We also get that's our first glimpse of the Dora Milaje, which is the Black Panther Secret Service. We see the two women with the spears show up,
Oh yeah, at the
and
door I did knocking.
Jobu, man, like when Zuri says like, "Oh, there's these two Grace Jones looking women out here with spears or whatever. What do you want me to do?" Jobu's face, he's like tearing up
Yeah.
because he knows
Yeah.
what's coming, and he goes, "Open it up." And
They ain't
Zuri goes,
gonna
"Are you
knock
sure?"
again.
And he goes, "They're not gonna knock again." And
Right.
just that, he's already defeated. He
Yeah.
already knew in his head they were coming for his head, and that was such great acting. Oh, amazing, amazing. But that's all we get of Jobu for a while because we go to present day, and we see King T'Chaka, or soon to be King T'Chaka,
Hmm.
watching a news reel that explains to us that Civil War basically took place 2 years ago, and that not 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks.
two
Yeah,
weeks
2
ago,
weeks.
which is enough time to apprehend Zemo,
I
arrest
wasn't
Zemo.
expecting that to be
That
so
that's very
close,
that's
man.
very close.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man
That's
Homecoming
a thing.
was close as well, right? Spider-Man Homecoming,
Yeah, I say that was
he
close
comes
too.
home and he's basically playing with the suit like the next month or so. Very close. Which is weird because they go all over their timelines with these movies sometimes. It's hard to kind of like
Yeah.
trace
Gotcha.
them. I couldn't even tell you where Guardians 2 took place in the scheme of things. I'm pretty sure some smart comic
Well,
book
it's in
clickers
space,
out
so
there.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Space.
We don't deal with time and space. But we see King T'Chaka in his ship, and we get our first introduction to Okoye,
Mm.
his right hand general, his confidant. How did you feel about Denai Guerrera of Walking Dead fame? as Okoye.
That was great. I fell off of Walking Dead, so it was nice to see her all over again.
Yeah.
Ass kicking machine.
And and she doesn't say much, but I think every time she's allowed to speak,
Right.
she says exactly what you need to know about her character. The very first time she's ready to go to war. She's ready to go right there with T'Chaka. We don't even know what he's doing yet.
Mhm.
He's gonna go to get Nakia, you know, to basically be like, hey, I want you to be at my ceremony. But before we even know what's going on, she's grabbing her spear. She's right about to go, and he's like, oh no, I'm good. And she's like, don't freeze. And we got that don't freeze in the trailer, and I didn't understand it.
Right,
I
right.
was like, what do you mean don't freeze? Like, is he gets nervous on these things? I don't. That doesn't seem like him. Uh, but we find out that what he's saying is don't freeze is because he's gonna go see his ex. He's gonna see his ex girlfriend. You know. Uh, how do you feel about that relationship? Like, did you know that he was gonna have a love interest going into this? And how do you feel about it being an ex
I
as
didn't think
opposed
he
to
was.
no?
That was cool, yeah. But I didn't. But it's cool that we knew it wasn't gonna be Storm.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
perfect world, right?
So but that was great. Um, the fact that she was an ex was very unexpected. I was like, hold up,
Yeah.
we got history here. That's cool.
And she's an ex that can handle her own.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a spy. She's considered a war dog, so she's being placed by Wakanda in Nigeria, different places, and she's a spy to get information for Wakanda. And something very interesting happens in this scene. First, we get basically the entire scene we saw in the first trailer,
In the trailer.
where he jumps off, he throws the EMPs, the truck stops, and then he does the whole Batman out of the shadows, beating up kind of stuff. Then Nakia comes out, and we get the hi, like he freezes. He legit sees Nakia and he freezes, and then Okoye comes out of nowhere, doing like the craziest like staff flipping and tossing ever, and disperses of the person, and basically says like, I knew you would freeze, and we get a moment also of T'Challa, the Black Panther. He goes to attack somebody, and Nakia stops him and says, "No, this is just a boy."
Yeah, he's just a boy. He's just a little kid.
And it's true. Like you won't. How do you know? And at what point do you stop and counsel? And at what point do you hit?
Mhm.
Right? Like if you're gonna, if you gotta be that careful, it can get very dangerous. Um, but something very interesting happens here. He tells Nakia about the coronation ceremony, and he's like, I want you to go, and she kind of agrees. Then you see all like the kids, the boys and girls, are sitting there and they're looking at the ship. The ship is rising into the air, or it just uncloaked or whatever. And Okoye is like, "Never speak of this day," and she kind of like gives him a smile.
Mhm.
And then the ship takes off, and it's like a long scene of the kids watching the ship take off. And the second time I saw what it said to me was, not only was it heroic, right, for this thing to come out of nowhere,
Right.
save you, and then basically leave, but the fact that it left. You feel me? Like this
Mhm.
is not a hero
Yeah, it's
here.
not- yeah.
This is not for you guys. It's here now.
Mhm.
It came now, but this is Wakandan stuff. You understand? Like they don't even sit there and like entertain them.
Mhm.
They're off to go do the next Wakandan thing,
Wakandan
which
thing,
is
yeah.
which is the ceremony. So I thought that was very slick to put that in because it gets mirrored later on. I'll connect it when the next scene happens that connects it. But there was a very clear connection that they went on later on. But uh, you end up getting the beautiful like sunrise in Wakanda when the ship first starts to come.
Everything's
The
more beautiful in
score
Wakanda.
the score starts to pick up, and you get the African chants and the trumpets, and that's when Black Panther basically says, "Oh, I never get tired of this," and we get to
This never
see,
gets old.
yeah, we get to see the holograms of Wakanda. Now, your first look at Wakanda, what did you think?
It got better and better as he went in.
And it looked like it was just built on top of
Yeah,
itself,
yeah.
right? Just
We're like, we're from just seeing tall. Everything's getting taller. Everything's getting more shiny.
and there's still certain parts of it that look like an African
yeah,
village.
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Which I thought was cool. There's a term
With the
that they called.
huts.
There's a term called Afro-futuristic, I believe it's
Right,
called,
right,
in
right,
which
right, right.
they blend those technological, those advanced technological images and African images, and they create this sort of palette for the rest of Wakanda. But yeah, it's like once you see that, you really don't question anything else going forward in the movie. Like once you've seen that, wow, so this city could hide here like this,
Mm.
I'm in. Like we're already
Get
here.
off the. I'm getting off the grid.
Yeah, you understand? Like, okay,
Wakanda.
we're here. And I feel like that's when the movie actually starts to begin. When we finally get to Wakanda, in the Plainlands, you meet Ramonda, which is Black Panther's mother. This is his first time he's seeing his mother. He saw his father in Civil War,
Mm.
and then we get introduced to basically the show stealer of this movie, his little sister Shuri.
Mm.
How'd you feel about Shuri?
And she did the thing. She's real cute. She's real cute. She's with it. You know what I'm saying? I felt like she was. Damn. It's hard because I felt the same way for Killmonger in this thing. I felt like I could relate for everything she said, and
Yeah.
then she kind of cracked on him with his sandals.
Well,
So that got
she
a real
is the
good
little
pop out of
sister.
me. So yeah, that too. She is the little sister.
And I think that was important to realize. I think Shuri was an important character to kind of nail, because you have to nail these outside characters, right? Like you don't really get the full scale of who Tony Stark is without fixing Pepper and Happy.
Mhm.
And you don't get Black Panther without having Shuri to play off of. And so to see that all these cool,
I mean,
in
and
depth.
and she makes all the tech too.
That's what I'm saying. To see all
You
these
know,
cool
so.
in-depth gadgets that he's using willy-nilly are not made by him,
Hmm.
uh, and delivers a great line from the get, which is, T'Challa says like, he's like, oh, I thank you for coming for the ceremony. She's like, I'm not here for the ceremony. I'm here for those EMP beads that you were using. I got an update for them, and he's like, they're fine. They work fine. And she goes,
Yeah.
when, how many times do I have to tell you? Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Which says something about his tech,
Mm.
which says something about government,
Hmm.
which says something about anything that you ever thought was just okay, and you deal with it because, well, that's just how we do it. Well, then it can get better. And Shuri is the futurist in that,
Hmm.
very Tony Stark almost in that aspect of like, but if you can build it better, if you can get better. I can't wait to see those two get together.
Yeah.
And she basically leaves the scene because he says, "Oh well, besides those upgrades, I hope you get some upgrades to your ceremonial gown." And she gives him the finger, and that's all we need to know about Shuri. She already is bothering him. She gives him the finger, and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was very interesting, and it was a great introduction to those people. Um, but we we get ready for the coronation, and there's something we've never seen before, right? The origin story has to deal with like you get the powers, and then you kind of become the hero when your movie's over.
Right.
Like you kind of become the hero when you beat the villain, and then I guess that's your coronation to becoming, or whenever you finish, you're making your outfit, or whoever gives you your name is your coronation. But no, this is like a real by the rules ritual for the Black Panther,
For the king of Wakanda.
for the king of Wakanda. And how did you feel about the fact that this wasn't just a mantle handed down? Like it could have been done.
Yeah, it could have been done. I mean, he had challenges, B.
Yeah.
He had challenges. People wanted to give him, but I'm glad I saw people that didn't want to challenge because they didn't want to throw their hands with the child.
But I think it's not only that, but it's also out of respect. They say
That
that,
too.
they
Yeah,
say that
you're
a lot of
right.
these
You're right.
tribes were able to come to agreement on this.
This is true.
And it's not as if T'Challa is mean to certain tribes, or
Mhm.
I'm hopefully not. T'Chaka wasn't mean to certain tribes. He seems to keep everything in pretty much harmony.
Mhm.
The only tribe that had any problems with the Jabaris, because they said that Wakanda is. I mean, like their reliance on Adam. Oh wow,
Wow. It's
adamantium.
these metals.
Their reliance on vibranium is basically going to be their downfall. But we start by seeing a lot of the. You see Shuri dancing with her mother. The African music is playing.
Mhm.
You see the Dora Milaje doing like ceremonial stances and stuff like that. And then we see Warrior Falls. We see these cascading waterfalls, and we see this ship go through and navigate through, and then amazing shot of T'Challa from behind, shirtless because he's going into battle, going down the ramp of the ship, and we're gonna see Warrior Falls how he sees Warrior Falls when he first gets there.
Yeah.
And you just see all these colors and all these people and all this dancing and all this chanting, and then he
Going
looks
all
up,
going and then he
and
looks up.
oh my
Oh,
God,
damn,
it's
man.
just so gorgeous. Everyone, all the
Yeah.
tribes, the dancing, the singing, the chanting, and it felt like a coming out party. This
Yeah.
felt like a coronation. It felt like a big moment to be had. And then, you know, to get ready for the ritual, you see that Zuri, who was the spy of T'Chaka's back in the day, you know, does part of the ceremony in which he strips the powers from the Black Panther away from him before this fight. I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. Me
So
either.
when
that
Chadwick
was-
Boseman starts having his veins pop out and he's like choking, I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Did
and
I
then he got to
miss
fight. And
something?
then he got to fight.
And-
he got to do battle.
And put it this way, they were gonna strip him of his powers. They did strip him of his powers before anyone even challenged, before he even asked if there were challengers. So they were getting this ready from the get. Like, hey, listen, you need to get ready just in case you have to defend this. And so they strip him of his powers, and he stands there, and it's basically a roll call. Like, hey, anybody
Who
want
want
these hands?
these hands?
Yeah, anybody want these hands? And the merchant tribe says no. The river tribe says no. The border tribe, which was
We will not challenge.
that's
today.
by I like that. Yeah, we will not. They will not challenge today. I believe Wakambi. Yes, Wakabi is the border tribe leader. He is the one with the rhinos. He is the one from Get Out. He is T'Challa's best friend, and even he says, "I have no challenge today." And then we get a challenge, but it's not from who we think it is. The first thing we get told is, first, if there anyone with royal blood that would like to challenge for this throne, and we see a hand go up, and that hand is Shuri's, and my heart drops because Shuri,
I was like, oh my God.
Shuri at one point, spoiler alert for the comics,
Yeah.
takes the mantle of the Black Panther. She becomes that much of an important character in his story. She even has her own stories. So to see her challenge for I thought she might have just. I legit thought she was just gonna try.
I was like,
it.
wait, what's going on?
Like I thought she was gonna try it. She was gonna see how it was and stuff. But she just uses it as a dig to say like, can we just? I just put in my hand up because I need to get this. Can we get this over with already? If I challenge him, would this be over with? Because this corset is a little bit tight. Which is also funny because she's basically a Disney princess, right? And for her to be complaining about like the royal wear and all that stuff, when all the princesses seem to want to do is be dressed up and go to fancy things, she wants to go and play with her gadgets. She wants to go downstairs and mess around with her toys.
All the tech.
Or her tech. But she's still there for her brother, and she's still, she's there to support. And so is Nakia for all intents and purposes. Even if she didn't want to be with him, she's there for the coronation. And when it seems like there's not going to be a single challenger, you start getting hearing the ooh, 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 and the Jabari come out. The not
The
forgotten
haters.
tribe, but
The
the
haters.
isolated tribe. And you know what? They were scary.
Yeah, they were scary.
When they come out of
They were
that
scary.
cave covered in the white paint, they were aggressive. Those were warriors, and they're all like casting amazing because they're all tall and brolic and huge. And seeing a grown person like that just grunt and bark, there's something unsettling about that, right? There's something purely animalistic about that. And we get introduced to M'Baku.
My man.
And M'Baku is the leader of the Jabari tribe. In comics, he's known as Man-Ape, but they decided against calling him Man-Ape because they felt like dressing a black man in a gorilla costume and calling him Man-Ape might have some kind of derogatory effects. So they just make the ape sort of a symbol of their tribe. And
That's a nice workaround.
Yeah, and I love those wooden ceremonial masks that they both wore, like that they just had on ready.
Ready to go.
And
Warrior man.
M'Baku basically has his own speech, right? We will not stand for this any longer. The vibranium that you guys hold will be your end, and I will challenge. And he goes like, I, M'Baku of the Jabari, and T'Challa's like, I accept your challenge. I get it.
Bro,
I get it. I'm already stripped of the thing. This hurts. Can we get this over with?
My ankles are wet.
And we get the first action scene without like really CGI and without like people throwing lightning bolts at each other and stuff. And it's this like visceral scene.
Straight up brawl.
Oh my God! It's a straight up brawl. And in the water, beautifully shot, surrounded by all the guards. And the crazy thing about this is uh, the ceremonial battles are only ended by two ways: yield, which is basically tapping out, or death.
Die.
And whenever these ritual things happen, there's a chance. There's a chance that either one can happen, and everyone's kind of just okay with it. Like M'Baku or T'Challa could just die.
Like you feel bad, but you gotta feel bad, but
you read the rules.
Yeah, you read the rules.
Like you read the rules
You're
coming
like,
into it.
come on.
Yeah, but M'Baku, um, he kind of gives it to T'Challa. You know, he's able to like land some serious blows, and that stick with the I don't know if it's a rock or if it's just a polished part of wood on top of it. That ball,
Right?
he looks like he can crack some serious skulls with that thing. When I was looking at it, I was just like, that thing looks solid.
Dude,
like
they should have showed them wallop somebody with that.
Oh my, that thing looks solid. And now I'm gonna go to a little bit of some feedback from the comic clickers. Chantal from Manhattan, New York says this is part of one of her favorite parts of this movie, and it's the moment in which M'Baku grabs T'Challa in the bear hug or gorilla hug, and is like, "No powers, crack, headbutt, no, no suit, crack, no claws. This is your king." And
that's why I was all M'Baku.
With every hit, they're like distorting the sound, like we're getting knocked out and stuff, and he tilts backwards, and from upside down he's able to see his mother
and his sister,
and his sister, and his mother says, "Show them who you are." And he basically goes, "I am T'Challa, son of T'Chaka," and he goes at it, and it's one of Chantal's favorite parts. Our reader here, because
do not make me kill you.
You know what she says is true, and it's basically that M'Baku thought he had it. He thought he knew T'Challa. He thought that at this moment he was at his weakest. And sometimes, I mean, you gotta show people who you are. There's a lot of people talking down your name without you knowing. There's a lot of people who think they got you pegged. They got you. They understand you. They know exactly your faults and your weaknesses and why you'll never get to where you want to go. But guess what? They don't know the real you. And sometimes you gotta show the world who you are. Sometimes you gotta stand up and say, "I am T'Challa, son of T'Chaka." And big moment, it kind of reminds me of Lion King with the whole "remember who you are." But yeah,
cut him off.
Show him who you are. And he goes and he's able to land some awesome shots and basically get him in like a triangle choke, and makes him tap. And M'Baku for a while won't.
Well, he convinced him to tap.
Basically, M'Baku won't.
He convinced him to tap.
And you got to think of how
but
hard
he told
it is.
him, "Don't make me kill you, dude."
I don't blame M'Baku for not tapping off the rip, I guess.
Either,
because he went down there with his whole crew to be king.
He did.
Like, yo, we all gonna go down there. We gonna bark.
Right.
And I'm gonna whoop on him, and then I'm gonna be Black Panther.
King, we gonna live.
And that's it. And then they blink, and he's in a chokehold, and he's tapping. But T'Challa basically says, "I don't want to kill you." No, he actually says your men need you. There's utility in you living. Like, you make a difference with you being alive. Please stay alive. Don't make me kill you, because I will if I have to. Stay alive.
Don't make me kill you.
Basically, don't make me kill you, because I will. And M'Baku basically relinquishes, and T'Challa is named King. And you see that beautiful necklace of teeth placed around his neck. It was amazing. And that whole scene, anytime they go to Warrior Falls, to tell you the truth, it's just amazing. All the people there, Zuri, no, the king. He's always making a big deal of everything. I thought
Wakanda makes me happy. Wakanda pleases me. All of Wakanda.
They did a lot. They were very respectful to African culture as a whole. Certain parts of rituals of other countries you may not 100% understand, but they stuck to it, and it showed. They had that pride and that fearlessness to be African. Like, they didn't care, and that's what made this movie awesome. It's just like the Deadpool stuff. They weren't scared of going all the way Deadpool with it. And every time you're not scared to go and just be 100% of what you got, it's always gonna work every single time. And I hope that they learned their lesson here with this. But you get the whole Warrior Falls, and you get the the, 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 the ritual combat, and then, 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 you hear a little bit about like you see Nakia and T'Challa speak, and Nakia is like, I don't want to stay here in Wakanda because the rest of the world needs us. And maybe we should set up like refugee camps like other countries. We could be better. We could be better than the countries. There are countries that are helping. And if we started to help, we could be even better than them because we have even more than them.
Mm.
No one knows how much we have here. We're like overflowing with stuff almost. And there are people that are starving for it, want it, and they don't have it. And how are we going to help those people? Are we just going to turn a blind eye? And T'Challa doesn't really answer that. He kind of
Yeah.
just, because he's
He's
talking
like,
to his boo.
yeah, good point.
So he doesn't want to get political. He don't be
Yeah.
like, no, Wakanda would never. He just kind of like listens, like, oh yeah, maybe. And they play around with the idea of maybe her becoming queen and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he goes and sees Wakabi, who, like I said, is the border tribe leader and who has the rhinos, his best friend. So basically, now you're coming to chill with you hang out with your
Yeah,
homie.
with the
You done
boys.
did the host ceremony. You did all the bells and whistles, but now you're gonna go talk to your boy, and that's legit what he does. He goes to talk to his boy, and he's like, "Hey, Nakia is saying that maybe we should do stuff like have refugees come and stuff." And Wakabi's like, "Are you kidding me? No, you bring the refugees over here, and they bring their problems. But if you want us, he says, if you want us to go and let people know what Wakanda is, I'm all for it." So we learn off the grip that Wakabi's ready for war.
Yeah.
You know,
He's down. He's down.
yeah, he's down, and they are both interrupted by Okoye. We find out that Okoye and Wakabi are
Oh,
together,
yeah, together.
which is
That was
kind of cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
that's
best
cool.
friend and your general are kind of together, and they're being brought together because they found somebody popped up on their radar. Seems like there was a disturbance at a museum because we are then introduced to Eric Killmonger. Eric Killmonger is seen in a museum uh, looking at artifacts when he is, basically
Plotting.
a tour guide comes by and asks if he needs any help, and he starts just questioning where certain African pieces come from. And off the rip, I already knew where this was
Yeah,
going.
where this is
I was
me
like,
too.
he's gonna either correct her or
flip
stump
it,
her
yeah.
or stump her. Like, oh, I'm not too sure. Oh, you're not? Well, it comes from blah 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 blah. That's only because I knew that Eric Killmonger has like several PhDs. Like this guy is as smart as T'Challa, um, and is knowledgeable. And if he is Wakandan, he would have some knowledge of this stuff. And basically, he poisons her. He poisons the tour
Right.
guide. She passes out, and he says that he's gonna steal it. And she goes like, "Excuse me." He goes, well, "How do you think your ancestors stole it?" And that's like one of the first of many lines that
Yeah.
rings
Underline
true,
that, yeah.
but the villain is saying it, and you kind of go, "Yeah," and then go, "Wait, I don't really want to agree with you,
Yeah.
but you're kind of right, but
I
still."
guess, yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah.
once she falls, I thought he was just gonna do like the Jason Bourne. I thought he was
Yeah,
gonna
just
take
like
out all the
take it.
guards, take the thing, but instead he starts calling for help. We're like, what the heck is going on? You see a barista randomly walk out checking her cell phone. You see Claw come in as a EMT, and basically dispatches of everybody. Silencer shoots everybody. He lets one guy kind of get a little bit further before he shoots him.
That was funny. That part was funny.
And then we see that they're here for a vibranium artifact that Claw would like to sell, and that I guess Killmonger was helping to get. Maybe that was his plan in all this.
To authenticate
Oh yeah, I guess
the vibranium.
he would definitely know what it was. And my favorite part of the scene is when you see him looking at the mask, and he's like, "Oh, don't tell me that's vibranium too." And he's like, "Nah, I'm just feeling it." It's the
I'll wear it later.
It's the beginning of many lines that you get from him where it's so chill. He's so, and when you consider that this is a moment he's been waiting for his entire life, I guess you could be this chill, right? Like this, we're here, home stretch. But now, T'Challa is told, "Hey, Claw, we found him, or we heard of him. He was stealing some vibranium. What do you want to do about that?" And basically, T'Challa's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna handle that. I'm gonna handle that. My dad never did. My dad never could. I'm gonna handle that." And then something interesting happens. Wakabi basically asks him to do that. Like, I need you
To handle this man.
yeah. He goes, well, he goes, "Can I? I'll come. I'll be back up." And he's like, "No, chill. I got this." And he's like, Okay, but then either kill him or bring him
I'll
here,
bring him here. Yeah.
because we find out that Claw kill in that battle that in 1992 where T'Chaka was trying to get Jobu. We find out that Wakabi's father was killed in that struggle. So he's been harboring this anger towards Claw for years, and the thought of him even popping up anywhere that they know
Gets
where
under
he's
his
at
skin. Yeah.
is like, we need to get him and we need to get him now. Um, so I actually missed. But prior to that, uh, when he's going around making all his diplomatic stops, he goes to Shuri, and Shuri pretends to bow to him, and then they kind of like do a little handshake,
Mhm.
and that's when we get the "What are those?"
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
sandals.
sandals, which di-
And the whole
did
theater.
not expect it.
Yeah, me
Did not
neither.
expect it. The
That
in
was cool.
theater erupted. I saw it twice and it erupted both times. Especially when you get like the actual shot of the
Hmm.
sandals, because you've seen all these kind of cool
Like
tech.
yeah, but you got granddad sandals on.
Yeah, you see all this kind of cool tech, and all of a sudden he's like wearing just very good. Maybe they're Versace. I don't know, but he's like, yeah, I just wanted to be old school. You see him with his slippers and stuff, and we find out that just like James Bond has Q, and almost Alfred for Batman, that's what Shuri is for the Black Panther. She's the one that's going out of her way to constantly try to update his gear, his weapons, and in this case, his suit. We see the first suit, and she jokes around that the problem with the first suit is that he has to put the helmet on
Hmm. Hmm.
physically.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, okay. So if you're getting shot, you're just gonna tell him to wait, don't shoot me. I'm gonna put on my helmet." That doesn't work, which is very smart. It's almost the moment where Bruce says, "I want to turn my neck." You start going, "Oh yeah, that would be a smart thing
To
to
turn my
fix."
body.
Yeah, that would be a smart thing to fix. And that's when we get introduced to the kinetic energy of the suit. We get introduced to the brand new suit, two suits, a gold one, one with a gold that comes from a gold necklace, one that comes from a silver necklace. They're just necklaces. The suits are inside the necklace,
Inside the necklace.
and you're able to program them to, fit you, to come on you or
What have you?
appear on you or what have you, and we see it. It's beautiful. I thought the purple on it looked
Yeah.
amazing. We got a little funny moment of him showing off the kinetic energy. Basically, any damage slash energy slash force slash power that the suit takes, it will then hold. It will harness that energy, and
Throw
you're
it
able
right
to
back.
repel it back
Yeah.
out. So our first instance of that is we see T'Chaka kick this thing across the room, basically, kick this model. What do they call those? Mannequins.
Mannequin.
Kicks a mannequin across the room, and then goes to kick it
Kick
again,
it
and
again.
he gets sent across the
He
room.
gets sent across.
So that's pretty cool. And we also get uh, a little treat. We find out about this technology that Sherry's able to use, where she puts this disc on cars and is able to virtually control them from Wakanda. We see this happen a couple times in the film, but we see that Shuri, isn't playing any games, and is right there with Black Panther, and virtually will be helping Okoye and T'Challa and Nakia go to not Singapore, South Korea to tackle Claw because they think that the big buy is going down in South Korea. So they go to South Korea, find some deep underground gambling, whatever the heck. Claw shows up trying to plug his SoundCloud, and basically we find out that he's going to sell this vibranium to the CIA, and not only the CIA, Martin Freeman, who we know from Civil War, and the whole thing goes awry. We got a Stan Lee cameo, which was awesome, but the whole thing goes crazy and basically leads down to this huge chase through the streets of South Korea with Black Panther and Okoye basically taking out these people. There's a scene of them shooting at
Hold on.
Okoye.
I just noticed something. What is Claude doing working still?
Like we're just walking around
No,
working.
just working. Working. Didn't Ultron make him super rich?
Yeah, he did. He did. He did make
I
us
would have
super rich.
retired. Damn it.
I guess. I guess he just likes it, and we do see from the shootout he was having a blast.
Yeah.
When he shot his sound cannon, he's like, "I made it rain." Like he's cracking jokes. This guy
He's
lives
just
to
having.
steal,
Yeah.
even if he's not gonna do anything with the money. Look at he's not well dressed. I mean, he has like a nice little vest or whatever, but he's not like all like posh or anything. Like he is just scum, and he lives for being scum. And Black Panther's basically able to catch up to him and goes to kill him. and we see something very reminiscent of things that happen now. Everyone's taping it with their cell phones,
Mhm.
and it's like we can't kill him here. Let's bring him back.
To Wakanda.
But before they can bring him back to Wakanda, Martin Freeman wants to question him with the CIA and wants to find out what he knows, and he spills all the beans about Wakanda. And T'Challa and Okoye are now like, okay, wait, now somebody else knows about Wakanda and vibranium.
Now what are we gonna do?
And before they're able to question Claw, Killmonger's back. He's back already, blowing up the side of the building. Allows Claw to escape. Everett Ross gets shot. Things are going bananas.
It's going down, ladies and gentlemen, right now.
And instead of pursuing Claw, instead of going to get the man who killed his not his father, but against the man who's done so much against the Wakandans, he chooses to save the CIA agent, which is huge, right? I mean, these guys don't like helping anybody. But he comes back. You see that Shuri is going to help fix Everett Ross.
In Wakanda.
The broken white boy is going to help.
The tech.
Yeah. She's going to help his spine. They got spine fixing technology in Wakanda. Can somebody call Rhodey and tell him
and that's like,
to make an appointment?
What's up?
Please? Yeah, I scheduled me for 10:30 on Wednesday. But something also interesting happens after that. You see that T'Challa is confronted by W'Kabi.
What you want, W'Kabi?
W'Kabi wants to know where Claw's at. Where's Claw, B? You back? Where is Claw? And he says he slipped through my fingers.
What happened was...
Yeah, he basically says, like, what happened was, and he doesn't want, his best friend wants nothing of it. And I was doing some thinking about this. And you know what this kind of reminds me of? Barack Obama. Now, give me a second here. He says, your father never did anything about Claw for years. But I thought when you came in, you would be different. And it reminds me about how much people felt that way when they elected Barack Obama. Like, you're one of us. Right. And now that you're there, everything is going to change. We're going to get everything we've ever wanted. And that disappointment when he realizes that it's the same old, what he perceives to be, the same old regime, that dead-eyed look that he gives him, like, it's just Monday. Yeah. Like, it's just Monday in Wakanda where we don't catch Claw and we say we're going to. And it's the same thing was with your father. It's the same exact thing. And it sucks when you lose faith in your political leaders or anybody that's supposed to be taking care of you, or like if you lose faith in your parents, anybody who's supposed to be protecting you. It's a real shot to your whole reality when you realize that maybe they can't, or maybe they don't have your best interests at heart. And it's crazy. Right before Claw was able to escape, T'Challa almost got Killmonger, but Killmonger shot him with a grenade launcher, and
he had the suit on. Yeah, that was cool.
Shot him with a grenade launcher, and the suit kind of short circuited or something.
That, and I think right before that he threw a grenade at them.
Yeah. When he jumps on the grenade,
jumped on
and
it.
Took all the energy. He was ready to hug him and just.
He ate that. I was like, oh.
I go back to that because that's when T'Challa realizes that around Killmonger's neck is a ring very similar to the one that he took from his father. So, wanting to know what the hell happened to Jobu, T'Challa goes to Ziri, who's where all the heart-shaped herbs are at. And I like this scene, too, because he's basically like, hey, tell me what's going on. I basically saw somebody with the same exact ring that my dad had. And he goes, that's not possible. He goes, don't tell me what's not possible. Tell me the truth. And I was like, oh, all right, King, you are the king. And he goes, I promised the king I would keep seeking. He goes, I am your king now. And T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, great accent throughout this entire film. And he speaks so softly throughout the film. When he's talking to Nakia, when he's talking to Shuri. But when he needs to yell, like the I am T'Challa, son of T'Chaka, and this moment here, I'm like, damn, listen to that man. Give him what he needs.
I cried and told her.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry. What was that?
You basically find out. I keep saying basically. There's nothing basic about this movie. You find out that we pick up where we left off. Jobu was supposed to go to Wakanda for his crimes, and out of anger goes to go shoot Ziri, the spy.
Right.
And to save his life, T'Chaka kills his brother. And we find out that not only did T'Chaka kill his brother, but T'Chaka left his brother's son behind, left his nephew behind to discover the body and deal with it. They were gone, ghost in the night. Too much technology to be caught, right? You didn't get caught for this murder.
Yeah.
They're not getting caught for this murder. They're
Wakanda.
gone. It's 1992. It's a black man dying in 1992 in Oakland in his house. And
Alright.
and and guess what? When the cops show up, there's gonna be guns in that apartment and all kinds of illegal stuff going on in that apartment.
Yeah, they're
So
gonna just chalk it up.
so basically leaving Killmonger to the system. Um, when T'Challa finds out, he's heartbroken. But Zuri says, like, he did it for the country. Like, this was the rules. Like, these were the rules. And like Shuri said, well, yeah, just because they work don't mean they can't get better. So I think that's the beginning of T'Challa starting to say, I'm not the sins of my father. The apple falls a little bit farther from the tree here. You get a combo backstory. You get a little bit of how his father was king, and you get a little bit of Killmonger and some of Jobu. You get to find out a whole bunch in just that little bit of what was kept from him. You know, and so at this point, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready for a Killmonger, Claw team up, and then it'll be T'Challa and his boys and all that kind of stuff. Nope. Killmonger shoots Claw, shoots his girlfriend, shoots everybody.
That was crazy. I didn't see that coming at all. I'm like, oh, really?
From the second that this man is on screen, he is merciless.
Yeah.
Merciless. When he goes and
This
he,
is true.
when he goes to save Claw, he's just gunning down people. He's standing straight up, gunning people down. And in this instant, he's gunning down people too. And like I said again, this man is covered in scars for every body count that he's got.
Right.
And at this point, these are just like this
he's-
is decimals, right? This is like fractions. He's already here. He's gonna get there. And basically, he just wants Claw to take him to Wakanda. Claw doesn't want to. Claw finds out he's Wakandan,
Mhm.
and he shows up and gives Wakabi Claw, hey, were you looking for this guy? Because I found him. Not only did I find him, I killed him.
I killed him. He's dead, and I brought him here.
And by the way, can you take me to your king, please? Take me to your leader.
I need to talk to him.
He gets brought to the leader, gets taken to the leader, and he says a little something. He says something disrespectful, and T'Challa just like stands up and walks straight to him. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? T'Challa, knowing fully well that this is his cousin, just tries to like hand wave it off, and he keeps saying like, ask me what my name is. Ask me what my name is, with this confidence, And he's like, I stepped into your house, and I got your, prisoner of war, whatever. I caught your enemy, and you couldn't. Your king couldn't. And man, just the swagger that he's able to bring into this, and
ooze.
The music is so good in this film, and every time he comes, there's like a mix of like African flute and trap drums. It's this weird combination of like now modern and historical sounds, and it's crazy. And he basically challenges T'Challa to ritual combat, just like M'Baku
He
did.
didn't care. He wanted to do it now.
And yeah, that's the thing. They're like, oh, it's gonna take weeks. We gotta invite all the tribes. And he's like, I don't need everybody.
I don't need all that. I just need him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need everybody. I just need him. And T'Challa, at this point, everyone's kind of just like they're in shock that this is Jobu's son, but they're on T'Challa's side.
Right.
It's T'Challa who says, I accept, ultimately. And I think a little bit is that guilt of like, my father did nothing. I have to do something.
Right.
You find out that Killmonger has just basically, he's a black ops. He's a war dog. He's, killed a bunch of people. He takes off his shirt and he has all these like African scarification things, which is something that actually happened. Something that they actually did in Africa. And this is scarification. These are scars that Africans wear in Africa. This is an African American man who's never been to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
This shows how much he's tried to reach out to that part of his identity that he's never even known. Right? It's the Puerto Rican who gets the Puerto Rican flag and never been in Puerto Rico. He wants to reach out to that African thing. He didn't know how to get there. No one knew how to get there, and he's finally here, and you can see the joy in his face. He takes off his shirt. He's ready for this ritual combat. They strip the powers from T'Challa, and they go at it, and Killmonger murders him. Killmonger just has his way with him in a way we haven't seen in a very long time, and humbles him. He humbles this mighty king who we always see standing in the trumpets. He drags him through, and the moment he picks him up above his head, well, first of all, which every slice, the slice to the inner thighs, the slice to the stomach, the slice to the arm,
everything was just a little bit awkward. It made you
seeing his mother and sister cry, right? Seeing his mother and sister react to every blow, seeing him get thrown off of that top. The people who are watching it in the theater, the people who are watching it in Warrior Falls, there is an audible gasp everywhere. Everyone held their breath, and then it just dung when he hits the ocean, and you're just like, and he's like, I'm king now.
I'm king
And,
now. Yeah, that's what I said.
and that's it.
I was like, oh damn. I was like, by the rules, he's king. I'm
Oh,
like,
and
oh,
no, wait, I
crap.
missed it right before then. He wasn't even gonna give T'Challa a chance to yield. He goes to cut T'Challa's head off.
Yeah.
Zuri stops him. Says, no, if you're gonna take a life, take mine. He goes, okay, I'll take both. Kills Zuri.
No hesitation. As soon as
No
he said that,
hesitation. Kills Zuri. No hesitation. T'Challa screaming Zuri's name, hurt, weak, and then gets thrown up the top. I thought it was also great acting by the lady who had to put the necklace around his neck. You can see her like trembling, like,
Yeah.
like you are. And the thing is, he followed the rules. He didn't break a single rule. He did everything the way he was supposed to. So, they can't like argue with him or like fight with him or any of that kind of stuff. And we see him take the throne, and he has the gold necklace on, and we end up seeing Nakia and Okoye speaking. Nakia's like, "Help me! You're the greatest general ever. We help me save." And she's like, "No, I am the general because I serve the throne. That's what I do. I serve the throne, no matter who sits on the throne. And you have to serve your country." And she goes, "No, I'm not going to serve my country. I'm going to save my country." Another big thing you hear a lot of times, like, "Oh, your government says to do this. You better serve your country." And so a lot of people are like, "No, there's ways to save it, and we can't save it. We're always serving it." And I thought that was very smart there. And Nakia, Shuri, Ramonda, T'Challa's mother, Shuri, T'Challa's mother, and Nakia, in my opinion, like, are like have no ideas in the world because they've decided now to take this heart-shaped herb and go to M'Baku.
Right.
The guy who just tried to kill
T'Challa.
and basically beg. I mean, they get on their knees and they beg M'Baku. I thought M'Baku's setup was amazing, like that gorilla holding the cliff, like they live in the cliff.
His setup was amazing.
Those weird
He's
like
got the
floating
Black Panther,
sticks.
of course, but
You remember those floating sticks on the strings that he had, and it looks like if you push him, he can fall off his where his throne room is and stuff. And Martin Freeman tries to talk. He's like, "Ooh," he's like, "No, I'm just ooh." He's like interrupting him and stuff, and he's scary. He's sitting there. He's covered in this fur and stuff, and he's just like. At one point, he's like, "I'm the one who will make the proclamations here. I'm the only king here, or the only leader here. Your leader is gone." And she goes like, "What happened to T'Challa?" "Oh, well, he was murdered in ritual combat." "Oh, it was ritual combat, so it's fine.
Okay,
like,
so,
what do you want me to do?" Basically, was it a fair one? Oh, so he lost a fair one?
Yeah. Okay, so like.
And he says like, "Oh, so it was more that he wasn't murdered, he was defeated. That's what it was." And they're like, "Don't shove it in our face," and they basically go to beg him to help. How did you feel about that plan?
I didn't expect it. Well, I didn't expect them going to him. I expected him showing back up.
Showing up eventually?
Yeah, showing up eventually. But I thought he was. What do you think would have happened if he had ate the heart-shaped herb, bro?
To tell you the truth,
so that's what I was. I was like, oh. Word.
To tell you the truth, I kind of thought that he was going to eat the heart-shaped herb, wig out, and disappear, and then that was what they were going to do for the next movie.
Ape thing.
For the next movie, they'll be like, "Oh, cool. He went crazy. He was on the
he couldn't handle it, and so he split. Now he's crazy strong and unstable forever."
That was definitely going to be. That was definitely going to be it for me if he did that, but instead. Well, first he makes a couple jokes, which kind of make us a little bit warm. He says like, "Speak again, and I will feed you to my children." And he's like, "I'm just joking. We're vegetarians." And then he instead of taking the heart-shaped herb, which he could have, right? Instead of taking the heart-shaped herb, he chooses to show them that he found King T'Challa. T'Challa is given.
T'Challa is not king though.
Oh no. Oh, not right now. Oh, yes, he is not right now.
He lost the fair one, so by the rules, it's just Killmonger's just a crazy and unstable person, and we can't have any of that up on the throne. So basically,
like the enemy of my enemy, right? Like, oh, listen, you don't like me, but you don't like him. And at one point, T'Challa's like, "Hey, now that I'm all healed up and stuff,
You gonna get
help
this
me.
man?
No, like help. I
Yeah.
need an army. I don't have an army. Give me your army. And the guy like he laughs at him. He's like, no, like we don't we don't have anything to do with this. And he goes, but we. And he's like, now it's we. Like for years we've lived here in these mountains, and now it's we. And there's a lot of that happening in the movie of like, oh now you're gonna help out. Killmonger's basically saying we're gonna give vibranium weapons to all of the blacks and basically anyone who was ever enslaved
Hmm.
or been taken advantage of, so they can kill their masters and then their masters' children. Like we're gonna restart the world and we're gonna start it with us on top. And you know he has right to have that anger. It's an anger that many of a minority has faced. It didn't take me long growing up in New York City to realize that where I was and how I looked wasn't like the rest of the world, and definitely wasn't what was portrayed on TV as what was normal,
Yeah.
right? And so a lot of people went in watching this movie, and when Killmonger says lines like that, he's speaking to them, about this like rise up, take power from the people who took power from you, and do it by any means necessary. Very Malcolm X, very Magneto, right?
That's better.
Very Malcolm X, very Magneto with it.
Black
By any
Panther.
these people have oppressed us, and they will keep doing it if they have the opportunity to. I don't trust them. I don't care about any of that stuff. They need to pay for their sins, and he at the point of this, he's ready to. He's actively sending weapons, or he's getting ready to.
Yeah, he's already sending stuff out.
Now, while this is happening, you have Wakabi's on Killmonger's side.
Hmm.
He's like, yeah, that's the way. Because Okoye's like, oh no, we don't do war and we don't deal in weapons. And Wakabi's like, yeah, we didn't do that stuff, but we can totally do that stuff.
Things
We
different.
can really get into that. It's not that hard, trust me. How do you feel about that turn, that change? Now, I felt like it was kind of it sucked because that's his best friend.
Right.
But with what I laid out before with the Obama comparison, it's like it's how a lot of people felt with this new president. Like anybody who will give me what I think I need, what I want. If you're gonna promise that with me, then I ride with you.
Yeah, I'm with it.
The other stuff is questionable, but you delivered on promise one, which was get the guy that I wanted to get, and that guy there, he didn't. So it's cool to see how the political games will end up being played here, and the first ship ends up going to go,
Split from Wakanda,
and boom, it explodes, and you see that T'Challa shot it down. And T'Challa shows up. You got everyone is arming for this thing. T'Challa's going for Killmonger. You have Nakia and Shuri. They're both about to get into this thing. Get into this war. Okoye is going to lead the Dora Milaje against the current Black Panther, against the current king, and basically all war breaks out. But T'Challa shows up with this "come at me, bro" kind of stance. His arms are out, and he's like, "I have not yielded, and as you can see, I am not dead," which means that this fight is not over. And we see for the first time Killmonger in the black leopard suit, and and which looks awesome, by the way. And they go at it. Those two go at it. Wakabi sends his army in there, which is only stopped because Okoye shows up.
Yeah, they're fighting in the air when they started tumbling down.
Oh, and they're
That was
actually
awesome,
because
yeah,
they're
when they're
actually
fighting,
throwing
yeah,
fists
throwing
and stuff.
fists
Usually,
and
you just see people like
That was awesome.
pitter pattering, but they were
that was amazing.
sitting there throwing fists. Seeing Killmonger take down the Dora Milaje was incredible, like crazy. And at one point, he grabs one of them, and she says, "Like what for Wakanda?"
Wakanda forever.
And he just slits her throat. Like he's just catching bodies.
Bro.
He does not care. And this is something that, like I said, he's been merciless from the beginning. They played this exactly how they were supposed to. And Ross helps out some bit. We're a little bit short on time, so I'm gonna skip right to the ending. Basically, T'Challa and Killmonger are fighting in this area that makes their vibranium inert. It makes it ineffective. But only for short periods of time. And they're having this battle, and they're saying these cold lines to each other, about what they should do. I thought it was interesting early on in the movie. He said like, "You should be helping the world," and T'Challa said, "I'm not king of the world. I'm king of Wakanda." And then he said, "Well, I thought Wakanda's in Africa. I thought Africa is where the world started. And if that's the case, isn't everybody your brothers and sisters? And it's like, mic drop.
It's like,
Like,
yeah, like what do you
everybody's
say,
kind of
bro?
right.
Like, what you got for that?
Everybody's kind of right in that instance. And how do you turn a blind eye to? He says like there's a bunch of people in this world who look like me, and they don't you know they don't get anywhere, and you could be helping those people. How did you feel about Killmonger's trip to the ancestral plane?
Um, he saw his dad.
Yeah, he did. Got to
Saw
speak to
his
him a little
dad.
bit more longer.
Found a notebook of Wakanda, of dad's
He
notes
kind of
and stuff
sort
like
of
that.
like gave his dad the cold shoulder, right? His dad goes like, "No tears for me," and he
Yeah,
goes, "Nah, like everybody dies around here. It's just what happens around here."
cause
And he says it as a kid, and that's
yeah,
heartbreaking,
yeah.
man. Because once you have that in your mind at 7, 8 years old, that's how you live in your life. People just die, and that's why he's so careless with the bodies that he takes.
Mhm.
Because to him,
It's just
people
an
just
everyday
die.
thing and stuff.
Everything,
Yeah,
everybody dies, man. Everybody dies. Um, and that's what we first told that he tells his son that the sunsets are beautiful over there, and he wished he could have taken them over there,
Mm.
but he never was able to, and that he'll be an outsider once he gets there. And you go all the way from that to this battle, in which he's ultimately fighting for acceptance. He's ultimately fighting to be the Wakandan leader. He wants to lead
King
Wakanda.
Killmonger.
He said the sun will never set on the Wakandan Empire. He wants Wakanda to flourish, just not the right way, not the way I would sort of kind of do it. It's hard to be king, and they said it's hard to be a good man and be king, and that's why he was having such an easy time with it, And they both had to talk to their fathers. T'Challa spoke to his father and said, "The way that you guys did things were wrong. To sit there and blatantly ignore people in places that needed our help, and when we could have helped them, is wrong. That is just plain wrong." And that informs the rest of T'Challa's mindset
Mhm.
going forward. So now he's dealing with his cousin, and they're fighting at it, and their armor is appearing and reappearing. And in one instance where it disappears, they do this tumble. The knife gets thrown in the air. T'Challa grabs it, is able to twist it and stab it into the heart of Killmonger in a beautiful maneuver, and only in the millisecond, in the millisecond that his armor was not available
Yeah.
around his heart, he was able to stab through, to the point that I think Killmonger says something like "good move" or something like that. He legit says like,
Nice move, bro.
"Yeah, nice move," and he removes his mask and he sheds a tear. He knows he lost.
Mhm.
He knows that all this anger, all this frustration, all the bodies, everything leading up to this point, and he still
Still lost.
his dream.
But he did take him to see the sunset of Wakanda.
Well, he says, like superheroes and flying cars and all that stuff like that. Like a kid from Oakland thinking about that. Like, how stupid is that? How silly
Yeah.
is that? And it's there that we see the kid again for the first time since the flashback. And we see Kid Killmonger there who says, like, why am I going to believe in all the beautiful stuff that supposedly make believe when real stuff is happening every day, like me coming home and my dad being dead
Right.
and no one answering for it? No one telling me what happened. No one telling me, I have to figure all this out on my own. And instead of just killing him, snapping his neck, I thought he was gonna just take the necklace off him. The entire time I'm like, take the necklace off him. You can do anything you want with him afterwards. Just take the necklace off.
Yeah, because that is the suit.
But he doesn't. He doesn't take the necklace off. He brings him to the basically like the face of the mountain where the Black Panther is at, and allows him to see a Wakandan sunset. And basically says, maybe we can heal you. We can still heal you. And I think that he meant both body and mind. Like, we can heal you from these wounds, and then we can maybe heal your mind. Like, you're not all gone, And he says, why? So you can lock me up? And then he basically gives the line of the movie, or the line that many people say is the line of the movie, which is, nah, bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage. He removes the blade, and he basically falls to his death. T'Challa reclaims the kingdom, goes to Oakland, and decides that he's going to make that the next Wakandan outreach center, with Shuri and Nakia overseeing it. And basically, that's the movie.
Hey, world, we're Wakanda.
And basically, yeah, he lets everybody know that they are Wakanda and they are proud,
Forever.
and that they are here to help now. The last thing we saw T'Chaka do was talk to the UN about Wakanda, and it
Right.
seemed like he was about to let everybody know Wakanda exists. Months later, weeks later, after his death, T'Challa finishes what his father starts and reveals Wakanda to the rest of the world in what I thought was very poetic. And to bring back the point that I was making earlier, instead of flying away this time, the ship lands in Oakland. and decloaks, and the kids are able to touch it and talk to Black Panther and ask him questions. We're here for you now. We're not flying away. We're not. This is not a distant hero or a distant. Oh, I wish one day we could see that or get that or whatever. We're here now,
Yeah.
and I thought that was on
Wakanda's
purpose,
everywhere.
and I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah,
I thought
that
that
was
was
dope.
beautiful. I guess
I didn't notice that. That's a nice eye.
I got
like
that on
that.
I got that on the second watch.
That was really
Sometimes
nice.
I swear these Marvel movies you have to watch about four
We
times
here to
to
stay
get
now.
all of it.
Everybody,
know.
Wakanda here to stay.
But this thing was epic. Like I said, it was fearless. It was respectable to just everything that Africa is. It's gonna do a lot for the culture. We say that we joke around about the culture, but it's gonna do a lot for the culture, and I hope it empowers everybody. I hope
Right.
everyone feels empowered by this movie. If your friends are liking it, let them like it. If you don't enjoy it, it is what it is. This movie is gonna mean something to somebody that it probably won't mean to you, or maybe it means the world to you and it won't mean the most to somebody else. It's not your job to convince anyone of what this means to you. Just know that this movie is incredible and it's gonna mean something. Something's gonna resonate. Um, it's funny because that last line is basically the line in the post credit where he's talking to the United Nations. Before he does the "I am Iron Man" kind of thing.
Yeah,
I am,
That's what I thought we were going with.
he says, like real leaders, real places build bridges and not borders, not barriers, which is basically a joke on us, on the US of A trying to build a wall. If we are the biggest and strongest, why are we hiding? Why are we putting up walls to hide? We should be going out and helping. We should be front and center. We should let everyone know what we're capable of, that's a pretty bold statement to make. How do you feel about what Ryan Coogler was able to do with this film, what he was able to do with Michael B. Jordan, who, he worked with Creed,
Yeah.
and Fruitvale Station? How do you feel about this director's first Marvel movie? I mean, this is his
I mean,
first Marvel movie.
I didn't think it was gonna be such a doozy. It was a doozy,
Amazing.
man. Yo, oh man. I don't even know what to pick. I wish that Claw didn't die. Actually, I think
Yeah,
I
Claw
wanted
was very funny.
more. I wanted more Claw. I mean, I did have him Age of Ultron, but that's about it.
I mean,
That's about it.
people are going so
I'm
crazy
all
over
right.
Killmonger.
But I was
that
just
they're-
like, damn. But it got heat off of me, so for Killmonger, so I wasn't.
Yeah,
You know.
people are going so crazy over Killmonger that they're hoping that was some kind of ruse, like he's still alive some way somehow. We'll see about that. Speaking of being still alive, we find out Bucky Barnes is alive and well.
Yes.
He is being called White Wolf, but he is alive and he seems to be ready to gear up for Infinity War. But like I said, they just did so much homework. The composer was studied West African instruments and used different instruments for T'Challa and Killmonger to show which ones were which. All the scars on Killmonger, that was homework done because those are, like I said, scars that people used to use as social status. And they did their homework on that, and it ends up becoming the top grossing film for an African American director with a prominently black cast, and it's deserving. As of this moment, where it's not even out for a week, it's 400 million. It's made 400 million.
That's a lot of money.
Now, you would have told me Justice League, that makes sense. You understand? 400 million for
Let's not
Black
talk about
Panther, that means people came, and that means that the promotion was good, and that means it's just a damn good film.
Yes.
I
had my Black Panther Snapchat filter.
I wanted to leave. I know we could talk about this literally forever,
Yeah.
but we're like, this is over an hour at this point. I want to leave with one last bit of trivia before I give my closing thoughts. I think that you'll find this a little bit funny.
Okay.
But Martin Freeman, the guy who plays Everett Ross,
Okay.
who got shot in the back and all that stuff, he was asked how did he feel being one of the few non-black actors on set and stuff, and sometimes the only non-black actor on set. And he said, "Well, do you think this is what black actors feel like all the time?" Which,
right.
way to go.
Yeah.
That's a slam dunk.
That is a
Way
slam.
to go. Way to get it. Way to be.
There ain't no better answer for that, bro.
I thought that was a very classy answer, because you can rip this so many ways. You can make this a race thing so easily, but ultimately this was an African American against an African.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's almost saying you're still not my people. You're still not my type. So there's so many ways to separate us. I also felt like a lot of what you hear this all the time, right? Where someone will say like, "Oh, who cares about Michael Jordan? What has he ever done for the
Mm-hmm.
hood? What has Jay-Z ever done for the hood?" And it's that thought too that wait, if you get out, if you're able to make better of yourself, is it your responsibility to help other people? Because Killmonger feels that is that way. If Wakanda can help other people, it should. And I feel that we hear that all the time, right? With black celebrities or athletes, like, oh
Mm-hmm.
wait, well, if they have the funds and they have this and that, they should be helping too. And I mean, they're not 100% wrong, but those people have to identify. They have to want to help, basically. And I'm glad that T'Challa is the kind of person that is able to not be so rigid. Kings have
Right,
to have
right, right,
rigid
right,
rules,
right.
or else they're not going to be respected. But in this instance, he has already taken the first step in making his reign different than his father's, and
And Wakanda's everywhere now.
you can't blame it for that. And speaking of, he made his reign different from his father's. This movie is different than any other Marvel movie we've ever seen. And the next stop is Infinity War. And again,
My body.
amazing. I guess
My
who
body.
before we leave off, who's your favorite character?
Well, T'Challa. Well, in no specific order. T'Challa, Killmonger, M'Baku.
I really, really liked
Yeah,
M'Baku.
me
Claw
too.
was also amazing. Shuri had some of the great one-liners. Don't scare me, colonizer. All that kind of stuff there. You
I
know,
forgot about that.
oh she,
Another broken white boy for us to fix.
she was always. Oh my gosh, she was always so funny. And the funny thing about, I mean, the best part about that was that there was no problem with the jokes because they came from the right person. If T'Challa was making all those jokes throughout the movie, I don't know how I would have felt.
Right. Nah, I really.
So put somebody in there to make those jokes. You don't always have to make the main guy say those jokes like they're all written down on his hand and he has to say them at certain times and stuff. Felt so natural. Everything came together. The music, the wardrobe was amazing.
Yeah.
It all fit. Thank you so much, Ryan Coogler. Thank you so much, Marvel. Thank you so much, Chadwick Boseman and the rest of the cast. It's a tremendous film. If you've sat here through all this, you know it's a tremendous film, and I'm
Yes.
glad that you were able to sit down and break this down with us. And if you haven't seen it and you just sat here to be spoiled, I don't know why, but go see it. And if you've seen it, see it again. I'm probably gonna see it again. It's a great movie, and I love that we have this outlet to be able to sit here and talk about it. Last but not least, I would like to end with a piece of listener feedback. Lewis Z says, I thought the movie was great from start to finish, and the action and the CGI was on point. My favorite character was Shuri, who was
CGI.
amazing.
Wakanda is real. Stop it.
Yeah, Wakanda is real. Well, it's okay. It's okay, Lewis. He says his favorite character is Shuri, who was amazing in every scene she was in, and I agree with you, Lewis. 100% right. 100% right. Woo! I'm glad that you guys who have been able to sit here and with us and deal with this Black Panther recap and review. This has been amazing. As always, you can find out about all the things that we do on all the things we do here at Comic Book Clique by going to facebook.com/Comic Book Clique, Instagram at Comic Book Clique, and using the hashtag Comic Book Clique to talk about the newest and hottest things to come to comic books and comic book media. That's comic book reviews, comic book movie reviews. We're doing it all here. TV, gossip. We cover it all here on Comic Book Clique, but especially here on Major Issues, the podcast brought to you by Comic Book Clique, and that's available wherever podcasts are found. I'm talking about iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict. If you listen to any kind of podcast, matter of fact, go to Google. I dare you right now. Go to Major Issues podcast on Google. We are the first result because we are the only ones. We are.
Check it out.
We are T'Challa, King of T'Chaka, as far as the podcasts are concerned. So go wherever podcasts are found. And if you could do us a favor, please rate and review us on iTunes. It's the quickest way for us to increase our audience. The more that you the more good ratings that we get, the higher we show up on people's must listen to sort of kinda on iTunes and stuff like that. So please rate and review us on iTunes. It's free and it only takes a couple minutes, and it's the quickest way for us to get fresh feedback on how we can perfect this thing that we're trying to do. Because guess what? I've been to the future. Major Issues is a big deal, and we're just trying to get it there, and it's going to take all you guys' help. But thank you guys for helping. Thank you for everyone who wrote in. Thank you, Klaus Maximus, for showing up. You know, this has been amazing. My name is George Serrano, a.k.a. The Don. This has been the Black Panther recap and review episode of Major Issues. I am joined by
Cloud Maximus, and I want to go to Wakanda again.
Oh, we both want to go to Wakanda because we got some major issues. But remember, whether you're African American, white, black, blue, a king, a prince, if you're a spy, Even if you're an actual human panther himself,
Wow.
I guess gotta be like some kind of human panther hybrids out there, like King from Tekken.
Oh,
If you're if you're King from Tekken, remember that you are worthy. Wakanda forever.